Transforming your life with hypnotherapy just got easier with your host, Julie from CoachingHypnosis.net.
Welcome back, dear listener, to Coaching Hypnosis. Yesterday, we stepped into the sleek, polished floors of European retail banking to watch how a smooth talker could break a cashier's brain and walk out with thousands of euros without ever drawing a weapon. Today, we're leaving the financial districts behind and heading out into the sun-drenched, cobbled piazzas of Italy. We are stepping right into the crosshairs of an operational model that doesn't need a teller's window or a financial transaction to run its script. Today, we're looking at the masters of street-level vanguard, the individual grifters who treat your personal space as their private laboratory. Today, we break down the clinical reality of the Italian magnetic street scams. Now, let's be entirely honest with ourselves about how the media and gullible tourists paint this picture. When you think of a street scam in Rome or Milan, the collective imagination immediately serves up a scene from a glossy Hollywood romance. A charming, dark-eyed stranger approaches you under the pretense of asking for directions, smiles warmly, and touches your arm. The romantic narrative says you are simply swept away by the breathtaking majesty of the Mediterranean charm. But let's look at the past vacation brochure and be completely real as modern strategists. You weren't seduced by the spirit of the Renaissance, my friend. You didn't give your diamond watch to a handsome stranger because the vibes in Tuscany were just that immaculate. You got hit with a high-velocity, multi-layered neurolinguistic mugging. What the police dossiers across Europe actually describe isn't magic or magnetism. It's a highly aggressive deployment of intense eye contact, physical touch anchors, and deliberately fractured language patterns designed to lock your conscious mind in a vice grip and leave you temporarily suggestible enough to hand over your valuables while thanking them for the privilege. Today, we decode the raw conversational mechanics of the magnetic street heist. To understand how the street grifters operate, you have to look at the psychological vulnerability of a target navigating a crowded, unfamiliar European city. Tourists and professionals alike walk through these spaces with their minds heavily divided. They're looking at architecture, checking maps, tracking timetables, and trying to absorb a sensory overload of sights and sounds. Their conscious default mode network is already working overtime just to process the environment. The magnetic grifter enters this space not as a threat, but as a sudden, intense burst of highly localized focus. The scam almost always begins with a rapid proximity breach. The grifter doesn't stand at a polite distance. They step straight into your personal boundary zone, immediately forcing your nervous system to evaluate an unexpected intimacy. Before your logical gatekeeper can decide whether to back away or engage, the operator locks onto your vision with intense, unblinking, dilated eye contact. Simultaneously, they execute a precise, calculated kinesthetic pattern interrupt, gripping your elbow, adjusting your collar, or collapsing your hand in a bizarrely specific high-velocity rhythm. Step 1. Proximity breach and lock. Rapidly enter the target's personal boundary zone while operating in a chaotic sensory environment, capturing total focus via intense, unblinking eye contact. Step 2. Kinesthetic pattern interrupt. Execute a sudden, unexpected physical touch anchor, like a double-handed clasp, to freeze the critical faculty and force the brain to search for a script. Step 3. Linguistic fracture and extraction. Deliver a rapid-fire stream of highly confusing, unresolved language patterns, installing a waking suggestibility loop to cleanly extract physical assets. While your brain is frantically trying to calculate why a complete stranger is holding your wrist in the middle of a public square, the grifter unleashes the final blow, a rapid-fire stream of completely fractured, unresolved language patterns. They will speak in a confusing soup of multiple languages, mixing half-sentences, contradictory requests, and emotional non-sectors. Please, The time is yesterday for a brother of the map, but you have the good heart for the gold of the ring, yes? In that microsecond, the human brain hits a processing wall. The combination of intense physical touch, unyielding visual dominance, and a complete linguistic train wreck drives the critical faculty into an absolute bottleneck. The mind enters a brief, hypersuggestible state of suspension, a waking trance vacuum where the conscious ego desperately screams for any logical directive to end the social awkwardness and resolve the confusion. And right there, at the nadir of your psychological defenses, the grifter drops a soft, clear, unyielding command. Just let me hold the watch to see if the size. Yes, that's right. Give it here. You are very kind. The security data on these street-level interactions is downright jaw-dropping. Victims don't scream. They don't fight back. They don't call for help. Instead, they look slightly dazed, nod politely, and actively assist the grifter in unbuckling their own jewellery or opening their own leather bags. It is only when the operator has casually blended back into the shifting crowds of the piazza, usually 90 seconds later, that the victim's brain finishes its forced reboot cycle. They blink, look down at their bare wrist and realise their pocket has been cleaned out by a conversational ghost. As strategic hypnotists and performance coaches, we have to strip the romantic folklore away from these Italian street heists so we can analyse the exact neurolinguistic levers these grifters are manipulating. They prove that the human psyche can be completely disarmed in public through the strategic weaponization of three core levers. The kinesthetic anchor phrase. Touch is the most primitive form of human communication. When a stranger touches you in a highly specific, confident, yet socially non-standard way, like a double-handed elbow clasp, it completely derails your automated social scripts. Your brain freezes because it doesn't have a pre-programmed response for that specific physical input. The visual tracking overload. Human beings are biologically wired to mirror eye contact. By maintaining an intense, unblinking gaze, the grifter forces your visual processing center to anchor entirely onto their face. This locks your attention in a tight loop, starving your brain of the environmental data it needs to realize your pocket is actively being picked. The linguistic cognitive bottleneck. When language ceases to follow basic syntax and logic, the analytical mind cannot form a defense. By delivering a rapid-fire stream of unresolved, confusing statements, the operator ensures your default mode network remains completely occupied trying to solve the riddle, leaving your subconscious wide open to accept direct behavioral commands. The Italian magnetic street scams serve as a powerful clinical case study in the vulnerability of the unguarded waking mind. They prove that you don't need a quiet room, a leather recliner, or 20 minutes of deep breathing to completely bypass a human being's critical faculty. You just need to understand how to leverage touch, vision, and confusion to shatter their pattern in broad daylight. The profound immediate lesson of the Italian street scams is a visceral reminder that your personal space and your strategic focus are your most valuable assets, and the second you allow an external force, a chaotic environment, or a high-velocity narrative to breach your boundaries and disrupt your internal pattern, you're leaving your execution completely exposed to manipulation. An ethical coach, consultant, or clinical hypnotist will never try to overwhelm your senses, rush your processing, or use confusion to force you into a state of compliance. True, unshakable leadership is about maintaining absolute command over your perimeter, slowing down the interaction when the external world tries to accelerate it, and keeping your conscious radar fully online. If you've realized you're navigating the heavy, fast-moving noise of high-performance pressure by running on an automated autopilot, letting external demands, chaotic market shifts, and fast-talking industry figures breach your strategic boundaries and throw your nervous system into a state of overreactive overload, It's time to step back, re-establish your parameter, and reclaim your executive composure. If you're ready to clear that cognitive noise, stabilize your execution, and lead your business with a sharp, unblinking, and completely self-trusting mind, I invite you to book your free 40-minute clarity call. Together, we will dismantle your external chaos, ground your nervous system in absolute present reality, and install a powerful, unshakable subconscious identity focused entirely on your true present sovereign authority. Remember, aligned subconscious plus healed history equals unshakable leadership. Thank you for listening. Align your mind. Visualize your future. Grow your business. Mindfully yours, Julie.